Well, Jimmy Lai is a hero. He should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe he will. He spoke truth to power. He did it in a compassionate way with no animosity, even towards those who jail him. And you see it in his kids. You know, Claire and Sebastian are chips off the old block. They're very, very warm and engaging, very smart. And I've had, for example, Sebastian at one of my hearings a couple of years ago, and he was brilliant. And he made the case so effectively. And so here's a man who's done nothing but good. He could have fled Hong Kong when the writing was on the wall that it was going, unfortunately, in the absolutely wrong direction. And he stayed. He stayed with Apple. He stayed with his journalists. He stayed, above all, with the people, because he argued, and I think very persuasively, everyone deserves basic human rights, and they had the basic law which guaranteed that, and that's been shredded by Xi Jinping. And they also had a UK-Sino treaty that guaranteed basic human rights as well, and freedom and democracy. And all of it's been, unfortunately, overturned by Xi Jinping. But he's just an amazing man. He got a 20-year sentence. He's 78. He'll be 98 if and ever they let him out, if he survives. He's very, very ill. So the appeal to Xi Jinping and the Hong Kong authorities is to provide him a humanitarian parole. I mean, at the very least, a government should be able to provide, for a man who's committed no crime, a release based on his very dire medical condition.
President Trump is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in May. Have you had a chance to raise Jimmy Lai's case with President Trump?
I have raised it with his staff extensively. Of course, Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, I used to sit alongside of him as co-chairs of the China Commission. He's very, very well informed. And so I think Marco will ensure, and others, that this is properly teed up. And eyeball to eyeball, our hope is that the president will look Xi Jinping in the eyes and says, let this man go. What are you gaining by keeping an extraordinarily kind and compassionate and elderly man in prison? It brings dishonor, frankly, to Xi Jinping and his party to so maltreat someone. Let him go. Hopefully you've learned from the debacle of Liu Xiaobo when you allowed him to languish in prison after he got the Nobel Peace Prize, wouldn't let him go to receive the award, nor his wife, and then he died terribly of illness, and he wasn't treated. I continue to be shocked by that. It's a measure of their humanity, and maybe they don't think that doesn't matter, but frankly, in antiquity, looking back at people who maltreated their own people, they don't fare well in history. And if you want to have any kind of legacy that is worth anything, you got to start showing compassion, and they can begin by doing it towards Jimmy Lai.